Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Marine Corps League Scuttlebutt. That's where we just yap and we talk about things. And tonight's topic is Toys for Tots. We are in the middle of the season. We have gotten applications done. We are loading toys, unloading toys, boxing toys, and we toys. Lots of toys. So my name is Victoria McCoy. I am the chairperson for the National Public Relations Committee, the best committee out there. Yes, I'm a little biased on that one. So I thank you all for joining. Right now, we do have 26 on board, and we're hoping to fill up this room a little bit quicker as the hour progresses. We're going to talk toys. We are waiting for our Toys for Tots liaison for the Marine Corps League, Russ Miller, to join us. A little bit of technical difficulty, but I never like to start late. So in the meantime, I'm going to ask one of our guests here who has been a recipient from Toys for Tots Foundations in the past. He's going to tell you about the award he's gotten and how he rated it. And I apologize if I pronounce it wrong, but Steve Topolinsky from New York, come on in.
Hello, Victoria. The Westchester County, New York campaign was selected the 2021 LCO campaign for Region 1. So at that time, there were 6 regions. I believe there's 7 now. And it's basically the number one. The foundation evaluates everything you do in the campaign, from paperwork, toys, PR. There's a whole checklist that they monitor, and amongst the staff, they review everything and decide on a winner. And for 2021, I was selected, and I had the privilege to go down in 2022 down to the conference and receive the award. Westchester County last year served over 28,000 children with about 36,000 toys. And every year, my numbers, I can't say this for everyone, my numbers keep going up and up. The demand is getting worse. Donations are going down, especially for me, monetary. My monetary donations last year were in the hole.
Oh, wow. What can you offer as it pertains to any advice, since you pretty much checked all the boxes, you got that award? Any advice, and I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit later, as to how to get more monetary donations?
That's a good question. I'm not going to say it on here. A lot of my donations come through the Toys for Tots Foundation website. There were some technical issues across the board with the foundation site last year. Even in the beginning of this year, there has been some outages. I don't know if that played into the issue or not. This year, they have a new credit card payment system in place. I also, like all campaigns, we accept checks made payable Toys for Tots, and we have the ability to deposit it directly to our accounts with Toys for Tots, so we could use that to purchase gifts.
Okay. So if you're lacking in a certain age group, you'll at least have those funds to kind of target that.
I'm an agency-based program, so we serve, because the kids are in the system until they're age 18. So we actually support up to age 18, and from 12 to 18, and for us is the biggest shortage that we have. And last year I spent an obscene amount of money purchasing toys. I did not get that back in donations. So even though I'll be purchasing toys this year, I don't have the funds to go as much as I did last year. So the rest is going to have to come from the community.
All right. Very good. Thank you for sharing that story, and congratulations on that award. Hopefully we'll see more Marine Corps League LCOs getting involved with that and being awarded as the years progress. I do see a name that scrolled across my screen that Mr. Russ Miller is on board. In the meantime, I don't think TJ is here, my senior vice. So Russ Miller is not only our liaison for the Marine Corps League and the foundation, Toys for Tots Foundation, but he's also our national junior vice. So Russ, if you are available, come on down and talk to us a little bit about toys.
Absolutely, yeah. We're up and running. It's that time of year. One of the questions that you asked a few minutes ago about getting donations up. Some of the things that are working really well. One, of course, is going out to all those Walmarts, Publix, whatever chains you have in your area, department stores, grocery stores, and applying for the grants that they have, because they have community service grants that they give out to the public. And so reaching out to those those companies, government contractors again are another one. Anybody that makes anything for the military, they're at least in my area, they're some of our biggest supporters. But one of the handy things this year for everybody that's an LCO is the ability to create QR codes on your admin website. So if you're a Toys for Tots coordinator out there listening, you can create a QR code, and I print those up. And everywhere I go, I put up QR codes as often as possible. If we're going to be on with the news on TV, we make sure that they have a copy of that QR code so they can put it in the corner of the screen. So as people are watching us talk about Toys for Tots and giving at this time of year, they can just hold their phone up to the TV, scan that QR code, and make a donation online right there through the Toys for Tots Foundation. And the nice thing is, when you create that QR code for your site, those funds that are donated go to your site. So they can be used in your community. You can buy toys locally, or you can order toys from some of the partners that work with the foundation and with all of us as coordinators. But yeah, we've kicked off. It's been going since October 1st. It's a mad dash now to deliver boxes to all the drop sites. And that's another one too, for those who are not LCOs or aren't tied in with Toys for Tots, on an active basis, is to go into businesses where you normally spend your day, your time, your money, and just encourage them to become a Toys for Tots drop site and a place where people can go to drop off a toy. What's nice is for those businesses, when they sign up to be a drop site, it gets listed on your local website. They can look it up by zip code. They can look them up on a map, and they can see the drop sites that are nearest to them, where they live or where they shop. And the benefit to those businesses that become drop sites is it brings new eyeballs into their business that may come in, buy things, engage in commerce in some different, some various form. So that's something that we can all do, regardless of whether we're a Toys for Tots volunteer, an LCO, coordinator, active duty Marines, doesn't matter. That's something we can all do to really push the program everywhere we go.
That's outstanding. When, in your opinion, when should you start fundraising? I mean, after the campaign ends, you took a breather and then get right back in it, or wait for the interest to be back and active?
December 26th. So, because it's so, I can run out of toys, and I'm sure anybody on here tonight that's an LCO can vouch for this. You can run out of toys a week before Christmas, and you're scrambling to get things put back together. And then all of the sudden you get calls on December 26th, 27th, 28th, all the way into January saying, oh, by the way, we had this party in our community or at our business, and we forgot to call you guys and tell you that we were doing it. Can somebody come pick up these toys? And I've had years where we finished our giveaway, we had 400 or 500 toys left over at the end, and by January 12th we had over 3,000 toys in our inventory to carry over for the next year. The other thing is the fundraising. People forget. They forget to donate, and suddenly they're watching TV and they hear or see something about Christmas, and it strikes them, and they think about it. They see the commercial, they see one of our commercials for Toys for Tots, with the little boy walking up to the Marine and asking him if he's Santa, or the little boy and girl that wake up and there's nothing under the tree, and suddenly there's a thump and two Marines are walking away in the snow. So that brings it back to their minds, and they realize, hey, I forgot to donate. And also most businesses, their grants regenerate after the new year. They're on a calendar year, not a fiscal year for a lot of companies. So January, Lockheed Martin is a perfect example. They set aside so much money per year per charity. So January 1st is the day you want to get on there and start applying for those grants with a lot of these big corporations, because they've regenerated their funds with the new calendar year.
Very good. I do notice somebody has typed in. For those of you who were not here for the opening, open up your chat window, please. There's lots of chat that's happened. Not currently, but there are chats that happen in the typing portion of the notes. And Donna Ray Smith has shared something. Walmart starts their new grant year on February 1st. I'm on their grant website filling out the application for grants right on February 1st. Also, if they have not responded to the grant request in 90 days, I'm right back on the website reapplying for the grant. So yes, thank you very much for sharing that, Donna Ray. And to Russ's point, so many companies put money aside. Some of them almost have to donate it somewhere. So you want to be the first one in, and definitely consider that. So right now, Russ will be taking any questions. Anyone have any, as we've discussed some different things that are moving around here, any stories they'd like to share as to what works? I am going to open up with a question. I'm actually going to take my national cover off and put my department cover off because I'm dealing with something here at my department level that I'm sure Russ is familiar, and I wanted to see if anybody else knows about it. The foundation gets these toy companies, and these toy companies say, hey, look, we want to dump 1,000 toys or 10,000 boxes or whatever the case is. And the foundation finds a place that they can send it. Now, in our case here in Pennsylvania, we have a local LCO that is having construction citywide that the truck couldn't pull up into. So he tried to decline the toys. He couldn't receive them. And they still came. And so has anybody else had that where, no, thank you, I don't need that, but I do need this, but they're sending things that you don't need or sending things that you do need or not sending? Is there anybody ever having problems with the foundation as it pertains to getting what you don't want or not getting what you do want?
Victoria, this is Johnny. Hey, listen, and Russ, you may help me out with this one. There's a little fallacy. What you just said is may be true, but it's also the foundation actually requests if you want supplement toys. And the foundation is actually paying for those supplement toys from those toy companies that you're talking about. Like I know Group Sales is a big company that they would force them. If the LCO had put in for additional toys through that toy supplement, then they're going to get them regardless of how they get there. What's unique, if they don't have a loading dock, because they're going to come in by transfer truck, they're going to request that they have a lift gate. I've had 2 deliveries recently, one tomorrow, with about 840 boxes of toys, and they'll come by. They called me yesterday and said, "Okay, we're going to deliver them." They deliver them. What do you have? Do you have a dock? I said, "No, sir, I don't." So they're going to bring a lift truck and make sure that they can get it off the truck through a pallet support thing. So it all works good in the long run.
Okay, so what you're saying is they'll put the lift truck on the back of their truck, their rig, so when they arrive to your warehouse, they'll be able to get it up the ledge and into.
Correct.
Okay, request.
Yeah, and it's a lift gate. And I've had situations on my site here where I've had a semi show up that, and I'll address the other part of what you asked a second ago too, Victoria. But one of the issues that we've had is, a truck, we told them we needed a lift gate, semi shows up, doesn't have a lift gate, and at a particular building, we didn't have a dock. And so it was a matter of the semi sitting there in our parking lot. I made a quick emergency phone call to one of the equipment rental companies in town, told them my circumstance, my situation. Within about 30-45 minutes, I had a truck pulling into our parking lot, offloading a forklift, and we were able to pull all that stuff off. We put the forklift right back on the semi. They drove away. They didn't charge us a dime for it. So that's just something, letting the community know, letting businesses in your area know what the need is. It's an emergency situation. I don't have the money to pay for a forklift. Can you help me out? And sometimes it may take 3-4 different phone calls to different, businesses to get that. But as far as the toys, where sometimes you get toys you don't want, sometimes, you're like, oh, good grief. Hello, backpacks, more backpacks. I so many backpacks, it's driving me nuts. But what happens a lot of times, the situation we run into is these are gifting kind donations from manufacturers to Toys for Tots. We can't really control it, and I tell this to families, have told them for years. We can only give what we get. If the toys don't come in, we can't give them out. So it's really, that's where we're kind of up against it on that respect. The other thing is those gifting kinds I've received in the past. I received a whole semi load of coloring book sets where it was the coloring books, the crayons, the markers, the colored pencils, an entire semi load of those. Another year we received 3 semi loads from Target of balls, of playground balls. And I mean, there's not enough kids in all of Colorado for all the playground balls that we got in that year. But they came in and they're donated. And so it's a matter of, all right, how am I going to get these out? How am I going to get these into the hands of children? And we do what we can. But yeah, we get stuff sometimes that we need at a certain age group. And that's where, if you're under the gun, you don't have enough finances in your account as an LCO, you don't have enough funds to go out and buy more toys, but you had a sudden influx of additional children that need help. Right after Thanksgiving, that's when they open up the second supplemental of toys from the foundation. And when you fill out that second supplemental request, you can actually plug in the numbers, what you're looking for, what age groups, what genders, and how many children you have in each one of those categories, so that they can then turn around and send you. It may not be the perfect toys. You might get 300 of one toy, but the main thing is to make sure that every child gets a little smile on their face on Christmas. It may not be the one they wanted, but that's our goal, is to help them in any way we can.
Very good. I did see that in the chat, there's a lot of chatting going on, which is great. John says, he asked, well, he put it in all caps, so stop yelling at me, John. He put it in all caps. He needs more boxes. My suggestion, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if you're not getting them as quickly as you need them from the foundation, start calling your neighboring LCOs, because there might be one that's got a pallet of them sitting in the back of the warehouse. So start calling, load up your car, truck, whatever, and take a ride, 20, 50 miles down the road if you can't wait that long. And then can you use a regular cardboard box, like a big box, and then, put signage on it? Are you allowed to do that?
Absolutely. So we have the plastic banners, the rolls of banners that we receive. And I've seen LCOs, I've seen this on Facebook and so forth, LCOs that have gotten, like, you go to your Lazy Boy store, get big recliner boxes and either wrap them in Christmas wrap or wrap them in those Toys for Tots banners, just wrap it around there, tape it on real good, and go set it up someplace. I had periods, in years past, we ran out of boxes. So we went and we got a bunch of boxes from a moving company, 2 men in a truck. We got a bunch of brand new boxes from them. And then we printed up big Toys for Tots posters, pieces of paper with the Toys for Tots train, slapped them on there with an industrial strength glue stick, and we started distributing those. And now I'm in this situation this year. I got 600 more boxes than I actually need. So you just never really know.
John, I hope that answers your question. And if again, to anybody that has a question right now, we're open up for any questions as it pertains for Toys for Tots. To raise your hand virtually, you hover across the bottom of your screen, click on reactions, and there is a little banner that says raise your hand. So come on in, John. If you cannot come in and actually verbalize it, if you would put in the chat and make sure that did answer your question that you had, or request, I should say. So right now we're open for testimonials. Feel-good stories, the good, bad, and the ugly as it pertains to Toys for Tots. I know the major ugly that we hear a lot is that, we need more toys. There's more of a need. That is something we can't control. The economy is in a bad place, and we want to make sure, to Russ's point, that each and every one of these children has 1 smile, 2 smiles, possibly 3 if you can. So at this time, please, yes, John, you're welcome. So at this time, any questions for Russ? Johnny Baker's clapping his hands. I don't know if that's a hand raise or if he's applauding.
A little both.
Come on in, Johnny.
I was just going to offer something here. Y'all heard me as I traveled the country this year talk about Toys for Tots and trying to encourage detachments to do more Toys for Tots, and which I think is a very, very important. I think last report we had somewhere around 270 or 80 Marine Corps League detachments actually doing Toys for Tots, and I think we need to do more. But I want you to make sure. I've been a coordinator for a few years, but I haven't done it for 3 years. So as I come back into it, there's a lot to be doing. A local coordinator is very important. You got to make sure I don't know how many people's on this call that's not doing Toys for Tots. If there's any out there, make sure you got that command structure, if you will. You got the support out there. And I might ask when I finish, late Russ, to elaborate on that a little bit. The importance is having those people that will be dedicated as you are to run a Toys for Tots. An LCO cannot do all the work on his own. I'm a small Toys for Tots facility. We're probably only going to serve 250, 300 kids this year, but we're a small one. And it's wearing me out because my detachment is not supporting me like they should. And I do have the support, don't get me wrong, but you really need to get that support not only from your detachment, but from your community. We have a local community college here that I used to work at, and I called them in to come help us sort toys, also to bag toys, and also use them as interpreters when my Spanish speaking folks came in and brought them in from the international students over to college. They loved it. So if you can engage your community and get them to come in there, I got a chiropractic office down there that loves us, and they will do their Christmas party is coming to help the Toys for Tots, bag toys and sort toys and things of that nature. But you really got to get out. If you're thinking about starting a new one, which I highly encourage it, put some thought into it. Talk to Russ Miller. He can really get you started the right way. Russ, would you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have a Toys for Tots, and it sometimes it's daunting to say, I don't know if I can start a new program in my community. You know, we already have something else in our community that's going on. You know, one of the big things, and I've reached out into smaller communities around the state of Colorado and gotten Toys for Tots started in those other communities, just because they like the police were doing something, and they're doing Shop with a Cop, or they're doing, you know, Operation Blue Santa, or, you know, whatever they're naming it. One of the big things is for us to reach out in our community, talk to other people that are doing Christmas toy giveaways, talk to the Salvation Army, talk to whoever, and offer, because one thing that they don't have in that community, and sometimes even in the big city, what they don't have is the Toys for Tots name, that recognition of that 3-car train logo, you know, that goes all the way back to 1947. And so having that logo, having that name, knowing that it's part of the Marine Corps, I'm amazed still to this day how many Marines I run into that had no clue that Toys for Tots is part of the Marine Corps Reserve. They didn't even know that. And so bringing that to their attention, but getting a Toys for Tots, you know, you may feel like it's just this big overwhelming task. It's not. You start where you start. And the big thing I always tell everybody is, if I only collect one toy and I distribute one toy, that's one child that didn't get a toy otherwise. So even if my program in my small town only serves 20 children, at least it's starting, it's doing something. And then as it grows, you can build on that. You can reach out to other communities in your area, in surrounding towns, whatever. But the foundation is there to help. Steve, myself, there's a lot of us out here as coordinators that have been doing this for a long time, Johnny, that can help. And so we're here to help you get started, help answer questions. You know, when things come up, by all means, reach out to us. You don't know what you're going to run across in different communities. So here we're here to help you. And it's not hard. The thing is, just remember that May 1st, if you don't have a Toys for Tots in your area, you need to start ramping up in April, May. Identify someone in your detachment that wants to get on board, wants to start a Toys for Tots LCO, a site, or a chapter now, where they're not calling them campaigns anymore. They're now called chapters. So if you want to start a Toys for Tots chapter in your community, May is the deadline. So you need to identify that volunteer, whether they know it or not, and help them to get online, get everything filled out. And again, I'm here to help with that, getting those applications in, getting you linked up to the foundation so that you can start getting that supplemental toys from the foundation, help get you over to Washington, D.C. For the training seminar and get to learn. It's taking a sip of water from a fire hydrant, but you come out with information overload, but at least it gets you on the right track. So
All right.
hopefully that Johnny.
Outstanding stuff here. Before I call on Greg, we got a hand up. I do want to bring your attention, Russ, if you can. Helen Breen from South Carolina, she has typed in something that basically is pretty specific to her, but there may be a problem that that happens a lot in that the relationship between her detachment and the reserve unit is not very good. So we'll touch upon that in a minute. In the meantime, Greg's got his hand up. Go ahead, Greg, you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. How are you doing, Victoria?
Doing good.
Oh, that's good. I was listening to a lot of this now, so I'm not a coordinator or anything, but I belong to the Susquehanna Valley Detachment in Montana and Pennsylvania. And what we do is for our detachment, everybody tries to go out, like I heard mentioned, go out to different locations and say, hey, would you be interested on having a box here, a drop spot, so we can get toys to the locations. Myself, over the years here, I've accumulated I believe it was 13 drop spots myself. And so I maintain those and I quite regularly, but it come to the point where I can't drive because of my illnesses. So what I do is I have some of our members in our detachment that are willing to help. So with our detachment, we service quite a few areas. And what I think helps a lot is, now I'm a natural born salesman. So when we sell tickets or whatever the case, I have to go because otherwise they won't do much. But no, anyway, but it helps to take and advertise. One of the biggest ones we have is a dealership through Blaze Alexander up in Lewisburg, PA. And he's been a big contributor, but also if you're able to advertise on radio, advertise in the paper about what you're doing and what your detachment is doing, you'll get a lot of support that way. And most people will take and see that they'll see on the radio or the newspaper that, hey, this is a drop spot. We didn't know this was around here. And so you advertise, you get if you're not getting anywhere really, chances are you're not advertising like you really like you really should, because advertisement is really, really big in this thing. And so but one of the things we also do is let me think here, is that we take and start early in the year too. We do fundraising. And we've done Toys for Tots golf tournament. We do a Toys for Tots, it's a fishing tournament. So you can really start early in the year and do all these fundraising so that when it comes time to having all these requests for toys, you really, you may have a chance where you don't need to refer to the foundation because you have your own resources, because you've actually done the work to make these funds available. We also set banks in some of these locations. A lot of times people will just, instead of putting a toy in a toy box, they'll just do a monetary donation too. So we have like banks, we do a Dollar General, insurance companies, chiropractor places. So there's many resources out there. You just got to have the people that can actually go out and say, look, would you like to be a Toys for Tot drop spot and a place you could have toys? Dollar General, sometimes they take and give us a slew of toys.
All right, I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions. Then we got
Sure.
Robert standing by.
Sure.
One, you preluded by saying you're not the LCO. Do you have a reserve unit in your area?
No, Nope.
Okay, so where do you take these toys and this cash? Who's your LCO? Who do you answer to?
Okay, our coordinator is Pam Beaver. Pam Beaver is you know Dean and Shirley Beaver, right?
No,
Okay.
no. We're just talking general.
Sure.
So
Okay.
you have a person that is an LCO. You take
Yeah.
these monetary donations, and what do you do with them?
Okay, we take them down to our warehouse. Our warehouse, we take the funds and the document and we leave them there for them to do whatever they do with the money part of it.
Okay.
And then we take the toys, we go around to these different locations where we have our boxes. We take our toys to the warehouse.
Okay,
And-
very good. Yeah, there was
and-
a couple of moving parts there. I wanted to make sure
Sure,
that you were doing
sure.
everything, you know,
Sure.
right where it should be. Yeah, I got
That's
Russ
a-
laughing at me. He knows where I was going with this.
My
Um,
radar was pegging too.
Okay, thank you, Greg, for the testimonial. It is important, you know, and I'll always come back to PR. You know, that's my job here in the Marine Corps League. You have an amazing, you know, the community is out there. Community wants to help. How can I help? How can I help? I'm just going to say it. They're prospective associate members. Just throwing that out there. So, you know, sign them up. So thank you very much, Greg, for that testimonial and your stories. And we're going to move on to the next hand.
Can I just throw one story in there real quick?
Very quickly, please.
Oh, okay. So one of the pleasures of doing Toys for Tots, and when we have toys that come in, you get a family that needs a toy and some toys for their children. Well, at one point in time, there was a year ago, a lady needed toys and for her children, and it was real close to where I live. And so they asked me if I would take and deliver these toys at a location for this lady. And when I got there, the lady was so overwhelmed because we actually helped her. And so she in turn gave me a Christmas card that was signed and colored by her children and with 2 gift cards where she worked. So it's not the toys that we are trying to get these children, but it's the special times too that it really makes the Toys for Tots so important to these children.
Absolutely. You are preaching to the choir here, brother. So thank you very much for all that you do, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you, Victoria.
You're welcome. Robert E. Lee III, you are up. Go ahead.
All right, I got a question for Russ about the training courses over in Virginia for the training for Toys for Tots coordinators and all that. Do you have dates for that as of yet for next year?
Do not have those dates yet from the foundation as to when that's going to be. One of the things that we have talked about too, for those that are, if you're not a coordinator, you don't have a coordinator in your detachment, but you would like to, like for those that are, I saw some of the chats there about working with a reserve unit. God bless you. Keep trying. Don't stop trying. That's all I can say on that. Eventually you'll get a coordinator, you'll get an active duty Marine in there that'll listen and take some help, and hopefully you can start building on that relationship. But as far as the conference goes, one of the things that we started doing during COVID was a hybrid training conference where part of it was done online, and a lot of these classes are live streamed. And so what we want to do, and I've talked to Lieutenant General Laster and Lieutenant Colonel Dave.
That's all right.
And about making those available so that Marine Corps League detachments who may be thinking about becoming a Toys for Tots site or are brand new and want, because only the coordinator or assistant coordinator can go each year. But if they want to open that up and have the other volunteers in the detachment be able to get online, watch the training, and understand what that coordinator is being taught, what they're being trained with, so that they can have a better understanding of what it is we can do, what we can't do, how we should be functioning and operating, so we're not going off the reservation and doing our own little thing and creating legal nightmares for ourselves, for the foundation, for those active duty Marines that can't go around with their hand out asking for donations, but you as Marine Corps League members can walk around with those active duty I&I, and you can be the one that asks for the donation on their behalf. So that's something to always push to those reserve I&I staff, that
Right.
you know, that's something you can give them that they can't do on their own legally.
Well, we have a
but
coordinator that we work with. It's, you know, second year with us. He's pretty good. I was just wondering about the classes. So I would really enjoy sitting in those and getting more education on it.
So having those classes available is one thing, and then another thing is to make the SOP, the Marine Toys for Tots SOP, available as well. Whether we provide a link on the member library that takes you directly to the SOP on the Marine Corps Toys for Tots website, the toysfortots.org, or if they'll allow us to actually post the entire SOP on our library, where anybody can open it up. And if there's a question of the legalities of what you can and cannot do, whether it's fund handling, who can we distribute toys to, who shouldn't we distribute them to, all that kind of thing, that it's all there for everybody to see in black and white. And everybody has the same training, same knowledge. And we don't have this, well, we've done it this way for 30 years. Why can't we keep doing it that way? Well, because it's been illegal for 29 years and 11 months. That's why. So just things to think about.
All right, thanks. Question asked and answered. You good, Robert?
Very good. Yes.
All right,
Thank you
very
very
good.
much.
Bryce West wants us to remind folks that the Toys for Tots Foundation pays for the travel and housing for going to the coordinator school. That is not an expense that falls on the detachment, and that was in the chat. Again, if you're not reading the chat, you're missing out on some good stuff over there. A reminder to all that is rewatching this. Reminder to all, what's happening in the chat, you're not going to see on the video. So make sure that next time you are here live and direct with us here on the MCL Scuttlebutt Hour. We do it the second Tuesday of every month. So that was my commercial break for that moment. Any other questions, comments, testimonials that you'd like to share before I stop this recording and open it up to general chat where it's a little bit unfiltered? Yeah, I said it.
Hey, Victoria, one thing I did want to point out to everybody, and I say this at midwinter, I say this at National Convention, during the Toys for Tots reports. On the member library in Marine Corps League website, there is a Toys for Tots after action report. Just for everybody's knowledge here, just to remind everybody, that after action report, if your detachment is the local coordinating organization, if you are the Toys for Tots in your area and you are filling out an after action report to the Toys for Tots Foundation, the one on the Marine Corps League website is not for you. You do not need to touch it. You don't do anything with it, because we get your after action report that goes to the foundation. We get copies of those. So that covers that. If, however, you are a detachment that helps someone else another organization, like the police department is a Toys for Tots LCO, or the Salvation Army in your area, whatever. If there's someone else who's operating Toys for Tots, be it a nonprofit organization, an individual, a church, or a reserve center, then that's when that after action report on our national website in the member library kicks in. And that is for you to give us a report, not of what that LCO did in total. That's not a report of their operations. It is a report of what your detachment did in assistance to that coordinator, to that Toys for Tots site. So you don't need to go to them and say, I need to know every penny you raised, every toy you collected, where did they all go? No, that report is how many people in your detachment, how many Marines in your detachment helped, or associates, whatever, auxiliary, how many of them helped, how many hours were spent, how much money was collected by your detachment, how many toys were collected by your detachment. That's what we want to know, so that we can report to Headquarters Marine Corps what we are doing to support their mission and how we are funneling resources and personnel into their system.
I will actually single out Greg Schlegel, who his story was that, he helps and he drives around and things like that. Greg, I hope that you heard exactly what. Okay, I see a nod. All right, great. So you're doing the form that is on the Marine Corps League Library, in the Marine Corps League Library. You're not doing the big one. You're only going to report all that cash that you dropped off at the warehouse and all the toys that you drove around and picked up. So, okay. All right. I see lots of nods going on there. So I am actually going to close this up. Go. Yes. Hi. I see a big hand. Hi, yeah. Oh, you're giving me the finger, Russ. Go ahead.
It's the good finger, though. One last thing, and this is just this is to keep all of us out of jail. Is when you're handling funds, when you are collecting, if you're out collecting cash, you're doing what's Johnny Baker, what do you call it? A stop and rob? I forget what they call it. But like the fire department where they stand out there with the boot. If you're standing out there and you're collecting funds for Toys for Tots in cash, and then you need to turn that over to the Toys for Tots coordinator, my recommendation again, and this is, best practices, make sure you have two people that count that money together, sign a piece of paper stating we counted this much cash that was donated at this event. Both of you sign it. And then my recommendation is go to your local Walmart, wherever, spend the 75 cents out of your own pocket. It's not gonna, you're not gonna miss a meal over it, but go ahead, convert that cash into a money order made payable to Toys for Tots, and then take that to that coordinator. Do not deposit those funds into your detachments accounts, into a quote Toys for Tots account. They need to go through the Toys for Tots fund handling system, not through your detachment. That's a big problem, and that's something the IRS will crack down on in a big, very uncomfortable way.
Okay. Very, very, very good points. Very important. And I'm glad that we closed it up with that. Okay, Greg, we're still on the recorded session. Go ahead with your final question.
Okay, so my question is to the gentleman just spoke. What we've done, and apparently I guess this is the incorrect way of doing it. When we gather cash from locations, we take that cash down to the warehouse, and the cash is given to the coordinator. So apparently, what he was mentioning is go to Walmart, get a money order payable to Toys for Tots is the correct way of doing that, correct?
Right. And to the national, go ahead, Russ.
That is the way I recommend that you do it, just for safety's sake, because I get one of the main phone calls I get all year round every year is we went out and we collected all this cash at this event. And how do we know that the Toys for Tots coordinator that's not in our detachment, how do we know that they deposited it in the right place? How do we know they didn't pocket that cash, use it for something else? But the big thing you don't want to do is depositing that into your detachment checking account and then writing a check to Toys for Tots, because that kind of goofs up the record keeping at Toys for Tots, because now it looks like your detachment made a large donation to Toys for Tots, not that that was cash that was collected in your community from 1,000 different people. And so it gives the wrong opinion. Your detachment is getting a nice thank you letter from General Laster for your efforts, but it wasn't you that donated the money. That was the public that donated it through you. So it's just the best practice. It keeps everybody honest. It forces us to be honest is what I want to get at.
Right. Okay. So in return, what if somebody writes a check?
Same thing. They just make the check out to Toys for Tots, and you take that directly to that coordinator. Okay. That coordinator stamps it with their little stamp that shows that it's going into their local campaign. They send it in right along with that money order. It all goes in the same envelope and gets deposited.
Okay. All right. That's very helpful information, because we've been doing the practice all along, and I didn't know any better. So I guess we'll be starting to do it the right way, because I have an accounting degree, so I understand the purpose of being very forthcoming in what you do.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. Now that I
Yep.
know that you're not paying attention at the department level meetings, I appreciate that testimony here on the national level. Ha
Thank
ha! Yeah, I called you out on it. There is something that was just said in the chat, and I want it to be on this recorded session. Peggy typed in the chat, sounds like it would be easier just not to accept any money, exclamation point. That's not the case. If you can get $1, a $2, a $10, or a $20 bill, sometimes even hundreds, in a cash bucket, you're not going to want to turn it away. Yes, there are some moving parts here, but it shouldn't be too much of a trouble to take that wad of cash, count it with somebody, and take it to your LCO. Don't turn away cash, because sometimes that's all you get. So please don't let this discourage you, that there are some steps that need to be taken to keep everybody honest. And Greg, just so you know, the gentleman you were speaking with is our National Junior Vice Commandant, Russ Miller. So he's also our
All right, well, thank you.
You're very welcome. Maybe we'll get you to a national meeting, and I'll show all of your extended family and introduce you. So I do thank you all for being here tonight. Tonight's topic was Toys for Tots, and I'm going to close it off with a quick reminder that next month, I know everybody will still be busy, but next month our Scuttlebutt is scheduled for the 12th. Same bat channel, same bat time. 1900 and Eastern Standard Time. It's a very, very, very important topic that I'll be sending out to the auxiliary. I'll be sending it out to everyone. And our topic next month is suicide awareness and holiday seasonal depression. Okay, It happens. We need to know the signs. I'll be bringing on some professionals. This is not just going to be an open chat. I'm going to have some professionals that are going to talk about the signs to watch out for during seasonal depression. As we know, the 22 a day has come down, so they say, but that's all that we know about. So, it's very, very important to start spreading the word now. If you do not have the information for the MCL Scuttlebutts, if you are not getting the information except for maybe our Facebook posts, then please rise up your chain of command and find out where it's being stalled. This is information for every member of the Marine Corps League. And again, December's topic is actually going to extend onward to our auxiliary as well. I'm going to invite any and everyone that we can touch, and community members too. Just bring them all in. I don't even care. We can hold up 300. So please, by all means, bring them in. James, do you need your question read on the recorded session? Nod or shake or... You're muted right now. I saw a hand come in the last.
The number is 17.
The number is down to 17. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the number it's most often used now.
That is 17 more than we want. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, thank you for that very much. So again, Tuesday, December 12th, 1900 Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to close this Marine Corps League Scuttlebutt the way I close out every one of our Zooms every single month, and that is by saying good night, Chesty, wherever you are.